Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Happy Monday, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at all of the major astrological transits of the month of February as we are preparing for the month ahead. And we will also be doing horoscopes this week with Alex. But today I first take a look at all of the most significant transits of the month ahead. As you guys know, if you're new to my channel, I don't cover every single transit in the sky. I tend to focus on those that are the most significant and and then in my monthly coverage, whatever you're seeing me cover in this video, you'll know that this is what I'll be looking at in depth as the month unfolds. So anyway, that's our agenda for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds to press the like button, and it really helps the channel to grow. So super appreciated when you guys do that. You can find a transcript of any of my daily talks on the website, nightlightastrology.com. When you share your comments and reflections in the chat box, it also helps the channel to grow. And it's really nice to hear what you guys are thinking and how you're processing each talk and all of the archetypes and transits that we're looking at. So yeah, don't forget to do that too. If you are interested, some of our new courses started in January. Not too late to join in on our year 3 course in counseling astrology. You only need to be enrolled in the first year program or even planning to enroll in June, let's say, to join that one. There's also a masterclass series we just started on the fixed stars. Not too late to jump in on that, or our Roots and Spheres program, which is our monthly moon circle. You can check all of those out on the website, nightlightastrology.com, and under the courses tab. And don't forget that there is need-based tuition available for those programs if you are someone who'd really like to take it but needs a little help making it happen. All right, so on that note, let us take a look at our transits for the month. And I'm just realizing that there we go. It's like my program isn't up on the screen. Here we go. So we're gonna, I'm gonna share the real-time clock here if I can get it up. All right, there we are. So there are a number of transits this month of February that are going to be impactful. A lot of the action lies between the Aquarius and Taurus axis, the square between the two signs. You'll find that a lot of what we're saying repeats across that particular axis of fixed signs. So that's something we'll be breaking down and looking at in the horoscopes. In particular, we're going to be focusing on the transits in Aquarius and Taurus for horoscopes this month. But anyway, I'm going to actually start us off on the 5th of February when Mercury conjoins Pluto. Mercury ingresses into Aquarius and immediately conjoins Pluto in Aquarius. This is a transit that most people will notice. The conjunctions to Pluto are usually pretty loud. And when you get a conjunction to Pluto from Mercury, you're often talking about that kind of upheaval of mental, intellectual, communicative content from the unconscious. It can come up surprisingly in an email you receive and a communication that you have with somebody. It can come up in terms of the ideas that you're entertaining, the subjects you're reading about or learning about, or a talk that you hear. Something that comes up and has the effect of changing your mind, changing your outlook, or of putting you in touch with the darker or shadowier side of intellect, speech, and ideas. It can be about ideological intensity and depth. It can be about problem solving and looking very deeply, probing and looking very deeply into problems, looking for answers. This is also a combination that can generate things like paranoia and, conspiracy theories. And this is also something that can bring about a shift in how you're approaching something. So let's say you've had a strategy or a way of approaching doing work, or a way of approaching conflict, a strategy, and this will maybe it puts you in touch with the limitations, or it puts you in touch with the fact that there might be a better way of doing things. So it's amazing how ideas and strategies and thoughts will go through a death and rebirth when Mercury and Pluto connect. Well, that's our first transit of the month that's really active and dynamic. From there, we go to February 7th. On February 7th, Venus is going to trine Uranus from her position in Capricorn. So you'll see here's Venus moving through later that day. This is 8 in the morning on the 7th, but later in the day on the 7th, Venus will trine Uranus. Now, Venus's trine to Uranus is powerful, fluid, smooth, harmonious, graceful, but Uranus is also unexpected. And there's what comes with Uranus is often uh, an a kind of quirky and um, it's like lightning striking, right? But when it connects with the benefic, as it's going to with Jupiter in April, for example, you get the unexpected meeting something more fortunate or beautiful. And especially in the trine, the connection with Uranus should not be, I mean, it's always a little disruptive, but it shouldn't be disruptive to the point of being chaotic or destructive. So, a smooth, artistic, but liberating and awakening connection between Venus and Uranus. I like this when you see something like you get an artistic idea or inspiration and it comes through smoothly and easily and it sort of it's like Venus with wings. But here it's also very constructive between two earth signs. Venus and Uranus can deliver insights, breakthroughs, and rapid openings, let's call them, in relationships or in anything that is sensual or artistic, something that you're building or developing. Venus Uranus is often about the unexpected and the original, the innovative, and the what I want to call it, like the revolutionary. Especially for Venus and Capricorn, this has to do with the incremental desires that the incremental movement toward our desires, and Venus Uranus will suddenly accelerate that process. It's a really nice connection between Venus and Uranus. Anyway, on the 7th, we'll be looking at that more in depth as the month goes on. And then February 8th, the sun, here we go. The sun will then square Uranus. This is happening right as the new moon comes through. So if we go forward just one day on the 9th, the new moon in Aquarius will be present the very next day. And so we have a new moon that is being toned by the square to Uranus. So now we start getting this repetition of Aquarius Taurus dynamics, squares between planets in Aquarius and Jupiter, squares between planets in Aquarius and Uranus. So what this is doing is it's starting to set us up for where we are going in April when the two planets, Jupiter and Uranus, come together around April 20th. It is as though a blueprint from the sky, from the airy space of Aquarius is being established. And it is that blueprint that will inform the earthy, sensual, embodied breakthroughs, developments, opportunities, awakenings, plans, motivations, opportunities that Jupiter and Uranus represent. So you can think of this kind of like a moon cycle taking us all the way through February and into March. That is really on the Aquarian level, it's about the biggest ideas and the biggest ideological and paradigmatic shifts that we're making. And we're doing so in combination with Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus for the sake of building something actual, building something substantial, changing something that is much more embodied and physical. But it comes from the change of paradigm, thought, and idea that is reflected by all of the action in Aquarius, including Pluto's entrance into Aquarius. And then we see this repetition of the exact same themes. For example, on February 10th, Mercury in Aquarius will square Jupiter in Taurus. So now we have the intellectual, the paradigmatic shift of Mercury and Pluto, the two that started off the month, moving into a square with Jupiter, which gives us the connection to the earthy, bulldozing, and building qualities of Jupiter and Taurus that are going to be continuing to develop up until April when Jupiter and Uranus connect. And there's this significant opening. And it dates back also to all the trines we've been dealing with from Capricorn to Taurus, where there's a sense of building something for the sake of Venus that we've been talking about. Anyway, then on the 14th, we have Mars entering Aquarius. And on the 14th, Mars will go through a conjunction with Pluto. Now, Mars and Pluto coming together in Aquarius is also about the, Mars is an inceptional planet, meaning it likes to initiate and start things. And when it hits the 0 degree of a sign and Pluto's waiting there, you can anticipate that this is going to be about the perpetuation of ideas, big structural, paradigmatic plans or ideas, and how they are changing or shifting. Mars is going to push the gas pedal down on those changes when it hits Pluto. And so the immediate thing you think about is the inception, initiation, and the actions that are related to paradigmatic, mental, intellectual, ideological, or sort of, like plans that are changing, ideas that are changing, structures in the mind that want to inform practical things that can shift and change. So, you know, the other thing that can come to mind here, of course, is some kind of mental or intellectual or ideological fanaticism. You'd want to be a little bit careful about that. And then you see that, again, the same exact thing happening. Well, Mercury goes right into the square with Uranus on the 16th. So then we have the connection from Mercury to Uranus. Same exact idea. We're talking about intellectual, mental, ideological breakthroughs now, and originality and inventiveness that is seeking earthy instantiation. And watch, it just continues on and on this month. February 17th, then Venus enters Aquarius. And wouldn't you know it, now we're going through the exact same thing, except for this one, there's going to be a significant overlap when Venus conjoins Pluto between these new ideas that are seeking expression and relationships, love, sensuality, beauty, the aesthetic quality. So it can't just be an idea. Now it has to address the relational realm, the sensual, the romantic, the imaginative, and the artistic. It has to be something beautiful. And now we're seeing that Venus, as the ruler of Taurus, is insisting that Venus not be lost in this airy sort of ideological, or the process of blueprints being laid out on the table might be offensive to Venus. So she's getting in on the mix, Anyway, on the 22nd, then Venus conjoins Mars in Aquarius, and we have the lovers coming together. They are illicit lovers in ancient, mythology, and so their union is interesting because you have the god of war and the god of peace. You have the god of action and a god of ease. Right, the two planets are like these fundamental opposites. And yet, when you put them together, you get an incredibly powerful sort of sexual charge, creative charge. So these two planets coming together at the very least signify the tension of the opposites in gender, sex, love, the sort of yin and yang balance. And then you also have Venus and Mars combining here, as Venus is the ruler of Taurus, insisting that these new ideas be attractive, be beautiful, and be embodied. We go forward from here. On the 24th, we've got a full moon in Virgo. The full moon in Virgo signals that we are starting to shift. Things are starting to shift into the land of Pisces toward the end of February, which is also a way of foreshadowing where the next lunar cycle is going. But the Pisces and Virgo the full moon across the Pisces-Virgo axis might be having us look at the contrast between flow, imagination, emotion, and rational control, planning, and organization, some classic Virgo Pisces themes. But also it is interesting that we have a very romantic sign in Pisces. And the full moon is in a sign that is very meticulous and very much compatible in a trine at the full moon with Jupiter, with the desire to build something and to be looking at the details and to be, hands in the earth with a full moon in Virgo. And the trine to Jupiter again suggests that this full moon is here to help the building and development of something earthy. Again, is being informed by the high-mindedness and the changes of ideas or plans reflected by all of the transits from Aquarius. All right, well then on the 24th, it is more of the same. We have on the 24th, we've got Venus squaring Jupiter. So here is Venus in Aquarius squaring Jupiter. This is beautiful, actually, because Jupiter is in Venus's sign, and Venus will be in her own bound in Aquarius. So you have really Venus dictating the new ideas. Venus comes through at this point and says, okay, Venus can also be like an interior designer with they put those, what are they called? When an interior designer, they'll have like a portfolio filled with all of their the rooms that they've done. Well, Venus is like opening her portfolio and being like, look at all these different things I've created in the past. They're very beautiful, but they're also very intelligent. The design, the layout, the colors, the coordination, the symmetry of everything, it's all very nicely designed. So you kind of Venus squaring Jupiter is it kind of contains the signature of Venus's plans, Venus's ideas. And then again, Jupiter's saying, all right, let's build them, let's make them. And this is something that's going to continue to carry together until April 20th when Jupiter and Uranus meet in Taurus. And then you get really sort of like the flourishing of the creative activity that's been inspired throughout the previous months. Now, February 27th, Mars will square Jupiter. So again, more of the same between Aquarius and Taurus, which is why we're focusing on these for our horoscopes this month, by the way. But the square between Mars and Jupiter, again, you are pairing together the lofty, visionary structures and like architecture of Aquarius, but and Mars is demanding that there be action taken on behalf of these plans. And Jupiter is supporting the development of that work, but ensuring that it is embodied and beautiful. It's turning into something that's luxurious, enjoyable, steady, peaceful, something you can actually, something that you can actually feel satisfied with. Now, February 28th, more of Mercury. Oh, sorry. Nope. Here we go. Yeah, Mercury can join Saturn. So this is more of the signatures of Pisces that are starting to come through. It's funny, the end of every moon cycle in the early part of this year, it's really like there's significant transits that are taking place in the next sign where the new moon cycle will be forming, and it's creating a kind of like fade out or a transition space into the next moon cycle. Mercury's conjunction with Saturn, because Mercury is debilitated, could be a little challenging. I would see this as a little melancholic, a little bit more emotionally difficult. And there's a lot here about emotional intelligence, boundaries, and the theme or quality of being too porous and not mature enough or solid enough emotionally, but also maybe too rigid or contained, looking for the most emotionally mature ways of expressing ourselves and maybe processing difficult or heavy things. And also the wisdom of Mercury and Saturn in Pisces, the kind of romantic and imaginative sensitivity of the two planets coming together that could suggest that we're having to, in all of the big ideas and the building of big things, which is so reflected by Aquarius and Taurus, are we pausing to recognize and include the subtleties and nuances and the emotions of other people? What's stopping us and asking us to sit and reflect? Mercury Saturn is associated with contemplation. So it's an interesting transit that pops in on the 28th at the very end of the month. And then last but not least, we have the Sun conjoining Saturn. So the Sun conjunction to Saturn marks the moment of the reset of the Sun and Saturn's synodic cycle. And so that means that Saturn is dying and being reborn. And isn't it interesting that there will be basically a cazimi at the heart of the Sun with both Mercury and Saturn? That really makes this much more significant. This is a transit we'll be spending more time with when we get to it, because what we're looking at could very much be a moment of death and rebirth that is that really speaks to the need for greater emotional intelligence, greater sensitivity, greater thoughtfulness. It's like pausing at a funeral or a ceremony of some kind, honoring someone from the past. There's a feeling of having to reflect and contemplate and remember. There's also maybe the signature of karma around fathers and leaders, because the Sun and Saturn coming together is often the mark of, say, an older person or an older leader passing away. There's also significations of what do I want to call it? Like the theme of mourning or grief, and also how do we thoughtfully process hard and difficult things and grow as a result of having to work through some things that are not entirely like news or information or thoughts or feelings or experiences or events or memories that are not easy. How do we work with those? How do we work through those? So it's a really interesting transit. We'll be spending a lot more time with it close to the end of this month. Anyway, that is it. Just a brief run through of all of the transits of February that we'll be looking at on the channel this month. I hope that you guys will enjoy our horoscopes that we'll do this week, and then we'll start getting into looking ahead at some of the transits for the month of February. We'll be looking at Mercury going into its conjunction with Pluto pretty quickly, and then we'll be off to the races for February pretty soon here. All right, that's it for today. I hope you guys are having a nice start to your week, and we'll see you again tomorrow.